Welcome to the all-new Marvel Roundup, the Southgate Media Group guide to the Marvel Comics of the week. As always, I am Phil&rsquo, and joining me is...
Charlie&rsquo.
Alright, let's jump in. I will start with Guardians of the Galaxy number 6. As it says on the cover, the beginning of an all-new story, Galaxy's Most Wanted.
Yes. And no thing in this issue, which is why I did not pick it up.
Yeah, it's basically Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde, because it starts off they're basically it looks like they're in a sewer or something, and they're running from the Badoon. But they basically take this awkward time to have a heart-to-heart. He's like, I lost the planet, I lost you, and he's like, I don't know about your new costume, and she's like, what, you don't like it? And he's like, you were wearing my old costume for a while. Yeah, just a lot of back and forth between them. And they're basically just running from the Badoon. Then they get captured and... Well, no, not captured, but Star-Lord gets knocked out and Kitty has to, like, drag him out. A lot of dialogue heavy, not a lot of action in this story. But I guess they came to steal something, but Kitty wants to free a bunch of people because Peter's like, it's a prison planet. She's like, no, it's a concentration camp. So they basically change of plans, but this time they actually do get captured, and then they're sentenced to death. But the next issue, with the cover for the next issue, that looks like the Thing riding. I don't know if that's Devil Dinosaur. Ben Grimm's in next issue, so you might want to pick that up.
Ben Grimm and Devil Dinosaur. That's pretty cool.
It looks like Devil Dinosaur. Like I said, not a lot. A little bit of action, but a lot more like dialogue and clearing of the air, I guess, between Kitty and Peter. But I'll give it a thumbs up.
Very good.
And then I will go to All New Wolverine number 6. Another number 6. This one is an end, not the beginning. What did every cover this week say? Either say the beginning of a new arc or the end of a... Because this one is the startling conclusion of the Four Sisters.
The Four Sisters.
Basically 3 clones and a Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
But then it starts off with the Alchemex genetics bunker, and Captain Mooney, the head of security, gets back, and he reports to Mr. Chandler, the boss, and he's like, and he's telling him how he escaped. He's like, what? You escaped? He's like, no, you didn't. He's like, Wolverine let you go so they could track us here. So the Wolverines basically charge the place. One of the clones gets shot. Wolverine grabs the younger one and takes off, but it wasn't really Wolverine because the clone who got shot was actually Laura herself. So they basically break in to take down the whole operation, and then Laura calls in the cavalry.
Agent May?
Close. She calls Maria Hill.
Oh, okay.
Because Maria Hill goes, only 8 people have this number. One of them is dead, and Laura says, yeah, the dead one gave it to me, so I'm guessing the dead one was Logan.
Yep.
So the clones go to take out Captain Mooney. Laura goes to see Mr. Chandler, the boss. I don't know if I remembered this, because I don't remember seeing this before. I guess the all-new Wolverine has claws in her feet, too.
What? Now what?
It looks like she pops a claw out of her foot. Because she cuts his hamstring with one that pops out of her foot. Because you just see a schnick, and then all of a sudden her foot comes up with a claw coming out of it.
Sure, why not?
Improved clone. But the youngest clone.
Well, no, wait. Was that Laura, or was that one of the clones?
No, that was Laura.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I guess she has that too.
No.
Sure, why not?
But then the youngest clone comes up and it looks like she's gonna stab Chandler, but she just stabs the floor in front of him, and she's like, "This is how close I came to killing you. Bye." So then the young clone leaves with Laura, but the other clone, they show her in a chopper at the end, and I guess she's working with a woman named Kimura, Kimura. Are you familiar with her? Because the name's not ringing.
Sounds very familiar.
It's not ringing a bell for me, so I didn't know if she was like a Shield villain or maybe she was from like Laura's previous X-23 series or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But it was
she's somebody.
Yeah, it was action packed. I gave it a thumbs up. But all new Wolverine number 7. It says all new story, Father Lost, featuring a special guest star, but it doesn't say who.
Has to be Old Man Logan.
I'm thinking that has to happen sooner or later. All right, Charlie, what's your first book?
Okay, now let's start with Ms. Marvel. Just in full disclosure, I have misplaced my Ms. Marvel books and my Howard the Duck book this week, so I'm doing these purely on memory. So we'll just see how good the mind of Professor Esser really is. Okay, so as I recall, we open up Ms. Marvel, and she's beating up some ninjas, as one is wont to do as a superhero in Jersey City. And she gets a panic call from Bruno. Bruno says, we've got all the clones have replicated. And basically so in last issue, as you may recall, they took Loki's golems, and basically Bruno analyzed them with his super science, and they put them into the 3D printer and printed out these little golem robots, to do basic things. And Camilla got the bright idea to Peter Brady her own life. Not really, I guess a reverse Peter Brady. Not dating two girls at the same time, but just making multiple copies of yourself to go do things. She did a Patty Duke. That's what it is. We have the two twins and you have one pretend to be the other so that they can get things. But anyway, so they create all of the various golems. One is going to do all of the wedding stuff for Kamala. The other is going to go to her classes. Meanwhile, Kamala goes and fights supervillains. Hence why she's fighting ninjas and feeling all proud of herself because she beat the system. Ha ha ha. Basically, what happens is Jersey City winds up... Because basically... okay. So first we see how each of these golems fails miserably on their first day. The one in gym class basically gets torn apart on the barbed wire because they have barbed wire in the obstacle course for some reason. Because I guess, as we all know in the Marvel Universe, there is no OSHA safety regulations. Apparently there is no one who says maybe you shouldn't have children crawl under actual barbed wire in a high school phys ed class. But yeah, it gets all tangled up and all cut up on that, and everyone's like, what's going on with Kamala? As she's going easy peasy, because they each have one phrase they can say. So like her school one says easy peasy, and the wedding one says in Arabic, congratulations on the wedding, which I cannot recall exactly how it was said because I don't have it in front of me. Anyway, meanwhile at the Khan household, the two groups of parents are meeting for the first time, and we find out that I'm forgetting Kamala's brother's fiance's parents. They're, Christians, so they weren't like all into their daughter's choice to convert to Islam. And apparently their son is an anarcho-atheist. So But they're saying, well, we do respect our daughter. She's a wise, intelligent girl, and of course her little brother says, oh, so her choices are hers, but my anarcho atheism is is just a phase. In classic little brother style. Look at me, I'm the little brother. I say that as a little brother, so I can diss on little brothers as I am one. Anyway, basically, eventually, then Kamala Khan's robot clone shows up, says her phrase, sits down, and then drinks some tea and melts, because although they're waterproof on their outside, their insides are completely water soluble. Then all of the clones start moving across Jersey City. I kind of get the feeling that Kamala is going to basically be unmasked by the end of this storyline, because I don't know how having a bunch of Kamala clones running around is going to end in a way that doesn't reveal that she is, in fact, Ms. Marvel. But we're going to have to see what happens. I don't know how she's going to keep her secrets after this. But so basically, everyone is like freaked out after the clone melts. The Kamala clans are rampaging. I'm sorry, not a clone. The Golem are rampaging across Jersey City. And Kamala says, I got to take care of this, and runs off to go be a superhero fighting, an army of herself. They do make the mention that, if they got Loki back, he could undo the spell, but, I don't know if we're going to get Loki back in the next issue because he's kind of busy, but it would be cool if we do get another Loki crossover. I would be all up in that. And big thumbs up from Ms. Marvel.
All right. Do you remember which issue number this was?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah, I have to look it up. I'm sorry, man.
That's okay. All right. I will go to Amazing Spider-Man number 9. Did you say you leaf through this?
Oh yeah, I did leaf through it. Otto gets himself a body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I hope he doesn't try to take this other guy's place.
Ah.
It's like, well, I guess I'll be random African American scientist now. Don't do that, Otto. It is the supervillain move, but don't do it. Okay, you gotta be straight with Ms. Marconi. You really want to win her back, because you don't want to go get deleted out of another head later when you say, "Oh, I guess I got to delete myself out of her head too, his head too." Don't do it, Otto. But he's gonna do it. Pretty much, we know that's what he's gonna do next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it starts off in the Baxter building. Nick Fury comes looking for he's telling Spider-Man he's looking for Peter Parker, and even when they're alone, he doesn't seem to drop it. So remember how we were saying, maybe Nick's just acting like around other people that he doesn't know Peter's Spider-Man, and it appears he doesn't know Peter's Spider-Man.
Yeah, so clearly he does not have that clearance, which is sad for the Nick Fury, but he is Nick Fury Jr. He's in the Marvel Universe. He's not Nick Fury Sr. He's no Coulson.
So, it looks like Spider-Man has all the Fantastic Four's old stuff, like the belt buckle they call the elevator, and they're going up to one of Zodiac's satellites, and Spider-Man calls it the Arachno rocket, but I think I know whose rocket that used to be.
That's the Pogo plane.
No, it's their space shuttle or rocket or whatever.
Yeah, didn't they call it the Pogo plane?
I thought that was just a regular plane. I didn't think that was I didn't think that was their space rocket or whatever.
Well, I know they have the space rocket in this little side section of the time, because we've all seen the outlay drawn by Jack Kirby of the Baxter Building.
Yeah, because this came shooting out of that little tube on the side. So
yeah,
but yeah. So he starts playing his playlist, and then the rocket, of course, it's a till touchdown brings me around. Oh no, oh no.
Yes.
They keep switching it, ground control to Major Tom. But then they show Scorpio. I guess he has new Gemini twins to tell him the future, but they're telling him we're in trouble, Spider-Man. I guess somehow Spider-Man got around their ability to see the future, because he came up with a new plan 1 second after midnight. Don't ask
Wait,
me.
whose new plan?
Well, I guess Scorpio has some kind of plan, and he has like these. These are like. Well, he keeps coming up with these Gemini. Well, he had old ones, but I guess these are new Gemini twins who can tell the future. But
Mm-hmm.
for some reason they didn't see Spider-Man's plan coming because Spider-Man made the plan 1 second after midnight.
Because they saw what he would do next
Maybe.
tomorrow. Now it's the
Yeah.
day tomorrow. Ha ha.
Mm,
Gotta look a little further, kids. I don't know how psychic seeing things work like that, so I'm gonna assume that we'll say that works for this.
yeah. So yeah, Spider-Man and Nick Fury go up to one of the satellites because since Scorpio hacked into them, Peter's like he can like I guess reverse it and use it to track Scorpio, but Scorpio has a bunch of satellites, so he sends them all to attack them, and Nick's like blasting them out of the sky while Peter's working. And then I guess there's too many big ones, so Peter he remote controls the rocket that brought them up and smashes into the last of the satellites, and Nick's like, well, what are we gonna do? How are we getting out of here? And I guess they're right up by the International Space Station, so he tells Nick to get over to the space station, and Nick's like, where are you going? And Peter's like, Paris, one-way trip. Because I guess he made some kind of his spacesuit's supposed to be able to survive re-entry, but he he starts burning up a little on re-entry, but because he's like, oh, my spider armor's tough, it can handle re-entry, and he's like talking to himself in his head, and it's like from terminal velocity. He's like, yeah, I did the math in my head. He's like, hell, Iron Man does this stuff all the time, and in his head he's like, well, you're no Iron Man. He's like, bad brain, stop it, I can do this. He's like, but I'm good. He's like, but I'm gonna call a friend. So he's gonna call Miss Marconi, and like as you said, it looks like she has a new boyfriend, and for some reason the living brain doesn't like that, Charlie.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's Otto's fault. He came back from Miss Marconi, and he was too shy to tell her, Marconi, I am Otto. I'm the one who loves you. And you know what? And so I can't blame Ms. Marconi. She's, a young woman in a high-powered field doing her life. I don't blame her. I blame Otto for being, too, I can't talk to girls because I'm a robot. It's...
Mm-hmm.
Come on, living brain, Otto. You can do this. Just tell her. Kiss the girl, Otto. Kiss the girl.
But yeah, hopefully we get that soon. But so Peter's plummeting towards Paris. He uses some kind of I guess some of his specialty webbings to like survive the crash. But when he was on his comm link with Marconi, tells her, bring me some web fluid and some other stuff.
Let's make a parachute web fluid to help with that.
Well, I don't know from orbit. I don't know if a shoot. He kind of webs himself up into like a cocoon or something. He does something to like slow
that actually is how they slow rocket ships down as they're coming to Earth. No.
Yeah, he was doing
he could wings and glide in like the space shuttle. They're.
You would think. Well, he said. Oh, I guess he was using shoots because he says, "There goes the last of my web shoots."
Okay.
Yeah, but he hits the ground. He survives, but then a big flash of light comes at him, and it's Scorpio with the Zodiac key. Yep. To be continued. But yeah, and then they show on the last page. They show the preview with the next cover, and I guess they're talking about stuff that's coming up. Of course, Regent's coming back, the villain from Renew Your Vows, but
everyone loves Regent.
And coming up in the next few issues, Iron Man, Miles Morales, and Mary Jane Watson.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Word.
But decent issue. I give it a thumbs up.
Yay. Thumbs up.
And then keep up this pattern. I'll go to Spider-Man 2099 number 8.
Yay! With yet another Return from the Dead and my favorite Return of the Dead of all time. Let's hear it for him.
Hold on, I'm not there yet, but we'll get there. Okay, so well, we're in the hospital. Jasmine wakes up. Remember her?
Mhm.
That's the assistant, and her girlfriend became an Inhuman last issue and accidentally injured her.
It happens.
Yeah, well, she gets out of bed. She's looking for a nurse or something in the hospital. She wanders by a room, and it just so happens it's the room where Tempest's mother has her, and the mother's like, "Get out of here!" And Jasmine's like, "Okay," and so then Tempest's mother calls someone. She says, "Yeah, it's me. I can't be here 24/7. I need backup." She's like, "For protection. I don't need anyone snooping around, and this city is filled with, I don't know, all kinds of people." So then we go to the NYPD Fifth Avenue precinct because Miguel went there to bail his male assistant out of jail because he basically slugged the cop to distract the cop so Jasmine could sneak into the church last issue. But Miguel's like, "What is it about me? I go to a bank, there's a robbery. I go to a police station to bail out someone, and there's a crazed gunman." He's like, "Maybe I'm a mutant with the power to generate chaos wherever I go, so that I can then fix." He's like, "Maybe all super adventurers have it."
Very possibly.
all right. Listen to this twist in Marvel history. He goes, actually, that makes sense. In the first Thor movie, Lois Lane was fine until Thor showed up in it, and suddenly she's falling out of a helicopter. I should look into that. Uh-oh. All right. So, I don't know. Well, I don't know if Miguel thinks this because he's from the future and he doesn't have like accurate info, but he goes, "Actually, that makes sense. In the first Thor movie, Lois Lane was fine until Thor showed up, and suddenly she's falling out of a helicopter."
So what they're doing is they're suggesting that there's a Thor movie, a sort of a fictionalized Thor movie in the Marvel universe. I guess we'll still call it the 616. Why not? Although at this point it's probably the 621/6. See what they did there?
It can't be Earth 1.
No, we don't do that. We don't do it. You know what the problem with the whole Earth 1 thing is? It's the whole Earth AB issue, which is like, yes, from your perspective, you're Earth 1 and that's Earth 2. But from the cosmological perspective, this is Earth, 621/6, because this is the universe that comes into existence in this point in space-time from the greater cosmological constant. There is an Earth A and B, but there are actual designations by the Time Variance Authority or some, or 616 for Earth B, and Earth A, which actually has the Brute, the Reed Richards thing character is Earth A, and it has some other name, probably like 617, I guess. But anyway, yes, yeah. So obviously, what he's doing there is he's talking about what I've actually explained about in other things. Essentially, Superman has a universe. I don't know what the context of this, but he's basically replacing the first Superman film with a film based on the character of Thor, with the character of Lois Lane, which might even suggest that possibly in the Marvel universe that there is a Thor Lois Lane thing, because of course a whole other concept I was discussing today is the fact that comic books exist in the Marvel universe, but if you have a secret identity, obviously your secret identity is not written in the comic books.
Yeah.
So they might create alternate secret identities for the characters in it, because as was established in the Marvel universe, Marvel tends to embellish the stories they tell of heroes.
Oh yeah, remember back in the 80s, Steve Rogers was drawing the Captain America book.
Exactly. This was a thing. So obviously Disney Marvel, or Marvel when it was owned by whomever, Golden Globus, I think at some point, made a Thor movie. So, and what he's saying, I guess, with catching the character. Now, of course, my answer as to why Superman, or Thor in this case, could catch Lois Lane when she's falling without cutting her in 2 is because, of course, Superman has basically, while he's in flight, there's a negative energy void around him, which is what allows him to fly. And so when you come in contact with him, you get pulled into that tactile negative energy void, what John Byrne described as the aura of invincibility. And basically, that's what when you come into contact with it, you lose all of your inertia. So you're immediately in that void, and you're not subject to the inertial stresses of flight.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually an interesting thing when people were, one of the things about John Romita Jr. is when he draws people in flight, they have this real static look to them. And people disliked it, but I was thinking about, that might be how, because people don't actually fly. But if you're actually flying, you might have that kind of a static look to you because you're just sort of pinned into space, The mechanics of your flight aren't muscular. So you're just sort of standing there and moving. So, it was an interesting thing when I was thinking sort of no prizing John Romita Jr.'s. And, of course, that might have just been the inker they were giving John Romita Jr. at that time because, for whatever reason, other stuff he's done, they have people who do a little more detailed inks. That time they were giving him real light inks. So they were just basically tracing his pencil lines. And I think John Romita Jr. is a guy who you need a good inker to pair him with, I think if you don't, his stuff looks very static, although in and of itself, just being static is not necessarily a bad thing when you realize that you're dealing with beings who are not specifically operating on the normal physical laws. Mm-hmm. But what was the context of this line since I've gone on for about 5 minutes?
It was basically just a throwaway line, so...
Yes. But, you should know better than to give me a throwaway line, Phil.
Yeah, I know. I thought you want to get to the good part, but
yeah, well, I don't even know what part this is yet. I just know that.
Well, we're getting there, but Miguel and his assistant leave the police station. Miguel gets the call from Jasmine where she says she saw a Tempest, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "Tempest? That's impossible. That's like a woman was there. Describe her." And then he's like, "That bleep."
She looks exactly like comic book girl 19.
Well, I guess I don't know if he meant the mother. I don't know, but because he's telling his assistant, "Go back to the office. I'll be there later." And he's like, "What's going?" And then he yells, "Go back to the office!" And the assistant's like, "Okay." He's like, were those fangs he saw in his mouth? So Miguel's at the hospital. He's asking Jasmine what room it was. So he's going down the hall. But when he gets to the door, who's standing there, Charlie?
My favorite Spider-Man villain. The one, the only, Flint Marco's brother, Man Mountain Marco.
Who says, "Move along, Sonny, nothing to see here." And Miguel's like, he's like, "What the shock? Who's this idiot?" Because he's huge. And he's like, "Who's in this room? None of your business." Miguel says, "Tell you what, I have $500 in my wallet. It's yours if you answer my question." And Marco says, "Interesting, I'll make you a counteroffer." And he smacks him down the hall. And Miguel's like, "Okay, now we dance." So he comes in. Marco, he dodges another shot of Marco's, and he punches Marco right in the head. And Marco goes, "Ow!"
Marco is wearing his signature leather jumpsuit, right?
It could. It looks. I don't know about it looks like it's dark pants and it's like a shirt with it's like a V-neck shirt that goes like.
Does he have a big collar on it?
No, it has no collar on it.
Well.
But
hashtag not my Marco.
Yeah, so he hit Marco. Marco goes, "Ow," and he goes, "You had a pretty good punch." He's like, "Someone else might have felt it." He's like, "Too bad you hit Man Mountain Marco." As he whips Miguel through an exit door. So of course now he's going to change into his costume, but he's like, "Lila, who's Man Mountain Marco?" For all you kids out there, it says she says, "A super strong enforcer, typically associated with organized crime syndicates such as the Magia."
He's Silverman's driver.
Mm-hmm. So
are the Manfredi's involved?
So Man Mountain goes to the door looking for him, but he thinks he took off good. He goes, "Kids nowadays, no guts, no follow up. They see a challenge, do they rise to it? Nah, they take off." It's like bunch of huh, but when he goes in the room, Miguel's standing there in his costume, and he tells Marco, "Leave or I'll kill you." And Marco goes, "I've been wanting a rematch because I guess he thinks this is Peter."
Yeah.
So they start going at it, and Marco's like, "What's the matter, Webhead? Where's your usual string of stupid jokes?" And Miguel just basically webs him up and slams him in the wall and says, "Shut up." And as he's beating on Marco, and he's thinking to himself, he doesn't know why Tempest's mother lied to him, and he's like, "And where did she get the contacts that to hire Marco?" And he's like, "But I don't." He's like, "At the moment, I don't care. I just want to hit something." And Marco is just the one to do it. And then at this point, it's Marco figures out it's not Peter. Says, "You ain't him. You got spider powers and some similar moves, but you ain't the same guy because he wouldn't have let me catch him." Because he throws Miguel on the ground. He's like, he wouldn't have let himself get so angry that he'd get sloppy. Killing you won't give me as much satisfaction as killing him, but it'll be close. He throws him up. Then they're racing down. They get to the maternity ward.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Marco breaks in. He grabs 2 babies, and he's like, "Okay, Spider-Man, or whoever you are." He's like, "Here's the deal. You leave the hospital right now, or they die." And she said, and nurse is like, "You can't." He's like, "Shut up. This ain't for you." And he's like, "Leave the hospital, or you get to tell the parents that Spider-Man let their kids die." And Miguel's like, "Okay, just don't hurt him." And he jumps out the window. But one thing I forgot to mention, when he was changing into his outfit, he made a phone call. They didn't say to who. So he leaps out the window, and Marco's like, "Good." And Marco gets on the phone, and he's talking to somebody. He says, "We have a security problem. Spider-Man or some Spider-Man showed an interest in the girl. We need to move her." And the voice on the other line says, "Okay, we'll be there in 15." He says, "Make it 5 if you." And he's like, "Oh, no." And because Tempest is gone.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "He distracted me. It's someone else come and take her out of here." And then the last page, they show there's a helicopter. It's Peter. It's both Spider-Men. Peter Parker came and got Tempest. So Miguel's like, "Thanks for coming so quickly." And Peter's like, "Well, you said you had an emergency." He's like, "To come pick up your dead fiance." And Miguel's like, "I still can't believe it." And Peter says, "Dude, I've lost count of the number of dead people I've known who've come back." He's like, "Obamacare would have to close up shop rather than deal with the paperwork."
But one never returns.
Yeah.
One.
And then so Peter says, "What now?" And Miguel says, "We bring her to a private facility I know of, check her over, do what we can." And Peter says, "What about you?" And Miguel says, "Me? I go have a chat with her mother."
Bum, bum, bum.
Thumbs up. You know what? I'm going on a limb here. I think this is my pick of the week just because I'm a classic Spider-Man fan, and we, like you said, we got Marco back.
Yeah, he got eaten by the dragon and he came back. Of all the pieces misplaced, I'm glad that was one of them. Although, man, he's out cold in this one. They've been making Marco way more evil in recent years, man. Almost makes the story I wrote for him not really work. I had a great little script I wrote for something when Marvel was for like 1 week accepting open submissions and got like 8 million of them in closed submissions. About Marco sort of getting traded by the Magia like down to Detroit because he was kicked out of the big leagues in New York, and then gets beat up by the Detroit superheroes.
But that sounds like a 70s song. He got ate by the dragon, but he came back.
Yeah, well, he did, man. That was actually going to do a whole thing in there about how he's like this guy who got powered up in the 70s, but the problem is that, you know, you get powered up in the 70s, and the heroes who get their powers not by, you know, some scientist, but by an accident, their powers keep on growing, but you just wind up becoming a joke. And that sort of man Marco's thing is he has this great power set, but he like kind of got passed by. He's, you know, the peak in 1970s technology basically. And although it seems like they gave him a power upgrade because he's holding his own against 2099 Spider-Man. So
yeah,
good for Marco. Come back, Marco. Don't kill no babies though. I can't deal with that, man.
All right, you're up. What do you have next? You
Okay,
said
well, next will
Howard.
be the next book I don't have yet. Howard the Duck. I was really hoping that because Lilith reads Howard, I was hoping she could have staged this because she probably has the book with her. But and she could tell you what issue it was too. So Howard the Duck. Okay, so as I recall, we're opening up with the Guardians in the ship, and Rocket makes the comment where the thing says, "Oh, what a revolting development," and Rocket says, "Oh, yeah." He says, "Sure, let the thing be on the team." They said, "It's not like you'll get tired of his insistent catchphrases within the first 5 minutes." And the thing says, "Hey, what am I supposed to call a development that is this revolting?" Yes, that's the mind of the Professor Esser. I can even quote the book. Basically, Venom is essentially plugging the hole that Howard left in the ship when he left. Which is kind of funny because it shows this idea of collateral damage by cosmically powered beings who aren't thinking about what could the downside be, and he's plugging the hole. They're going to Collecton to get Howard. Howard has gone to Collecton where he is holding his own against the Collector, but he uses up the power cosmic. But fortunately, then Scout and actually, it's kind of funny because the Collector says, even though you are rare and your value is at an all-time high, now that you are the nexus of all realities, I will still kill you. I'm sorely tempted to still kill you. And then, of course, Silver Surfer and Scout come. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, Toomey gets in the way of the battle because Toomey, my board, protects Howard from the Collector, and then Scout and Silver Surfer show up. Battle ensues. Basically, what they do is the Guardians free all of the various people from their cells. They manage to defeat Tavan, and then Howard sends everyone home because he is the nexus of all reality. So all you have to do is think about where you want to go, and you come and touch Howard, and you'll go to wherever you're supposed to be. And then Linda and Shockett say this is where we need to go so we can get a new ship, and they're going to start their lives. Which is good because I'm glad they didn't force a relationship between them and Rocket and Howard, but they're out there, so who knows? You may come back to them later. And then basically, the Silver Surfer separates Howard from the Nexus. But then Scout points out, no, that he's still tied to the Nexus. And Silver Surfer goes, wow, I couldn't even see that. And you could. That's pretty freaking amazing. But basically what they say is, Howard, you can go wherever you'd like to go now. Just walk through the Nexus. And which is kind of funny because now they've put the Nexus of all realities on Collecton. Although I'm sure eventually it'll migrate its way back to Florida where it belongs. Because, the universe... somewhere wants it back in Florida eventually. Although I think actually, technically, the Man-Thing's also a living Nexus, so it will always go back with him. Anyway, Howard walks through the thing thinking he's going back to Duck World, but do you know where he goes?
No, where?
He goes to a little house, and he sees a dog, which annoys him. But he goes to the house thinking he's going to see ducks. And who he sees is Beverly Schweitzer. Because he wanted to go home. And where is home? But where the heart is. And where the heart is Beverly.
Aww.
Aww. But we know that the universe will not allow Howard to have simple domesticity with Beverly. So, as touching and as sweet as that is, we'll have to see where it goes next. And we'll see it next issue. Howard the Duck. Big thumbs up for Howard as always. It is just such a great book. So lovely. And I really enjoyed it.
Very good. All right. I'll get to my last one on my own. Spider-Man Deadpool number 3. Uh, oh, I have to give you this. Of course, the recap page is the first page, but the
Hmm.
last line you'll enjoy this. It says, "Beware piracy. Say no to torrents and burn the witches who craft counterfeit comics. And now enjoy the sweet taste of authenticity."
Very nice.
So the issue starts off with Peter Parker. He's checking on Mysterio, Quentin Beck in the hospital because I guess they've run all their tests and it really is Beck. He says so.
So he's back.
Yeah, they the DNA cross reference with Interpol, FBI, New York State, and the Boy Scouts. Perfect match.
You know, Reed, you put the universe back. You brought back a lot of villains. I really hope Jack Monroe was on the list, Reed. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. You brought all these villains back. Great. Left Otto in the robot. Thanks.
Maybe that's the whole Dead No More thing. It's all these dead characters coming back or something.
Yeah, but could one of them please be Jack Monroe and not
Yeah,
have
oh,
him
yeah.
be like freaking manipulated by, some evil force, but just have him be like, hey, I'm Jack Monroe. I'm not totally crazy, but I'm still kind of a edgy superhero. And I got freaking super soldier serum. And have him team up you know, um, with William Burnside again, because William Burnside's still alive. Although Cap
Mm-hmm.
left him in Shield custody, so goodness knows what they did with him. Oh,
Mm,
Cap, you're too damn trusting. Oh, sorry, you're too dang trusting.
what's your language?
Language, as Colossus and Cap would say. Okay,
Right.
where were we? Oh, you were actually narrating a story.
Yeah, so Deadpool comes in and he's thinking, "Oh, now's my chance to kill Peter Parker." But then Spider-Man walks in, but as they explain, that's really Hobie Brown. So he runs around as Spider-Man sometimes, so people don't put two to two together about Peter and Spider-Man, like Deadpool.
That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Well, actually, no. I guess it does make sense because Deadpool has comic awareness, but he doesn't actually read the comics like Gwenpool. Gwenpool, though, would know all this.
Yeah, because Peter's even like, "Why is he looking at me so weird? Does he know? He knows." He's like, "He can't know. He's Deadpool. He's an idiot."
Yes.
And they both, because Peter and Deadpool are both trying to hit on the same nurse, but then she ends up being married. So,
Isn't always the way.
but then later on they show the real Spider-Man, Peter, hanging out with he's driving in the Deadpool's driving the new Deadmobile, which was the Spider-Mobile before, but I guess they're gonna hang out for the day. But Peter puts some kind of it's like a lie detector on him, but it's like a almost like a watch, but it's a lie detector, and every time he goes to lie, it shocks him.
Oh, on Deadpool?
Yeah, because Deadpool's like Spider-Man's like, "Is that all right?" And Deadpool's like, "Truth is not a problem." Zap. And Spider-Man's like, "I should have done this a lot sooner. I'm already smiling." And Deadpool's like, "Yeah, this is perfect." Then they start off. They save some kind of charity event. I guess Deadpool was having Deadpool's dollars for almost dead kids.
Yes. Well, he is a cancer survivor himself.
Yeah. So, but then Deadpool's like, "Here, come with me. I'll show you what it's all about." So they go to Bolivia, where Spider-Man joins in on a mission with Deadpool and the Mercs for money.
No.
And all the Mercs for money are basically telling Spider-Man, who's like, how great Deadpool is, and Spider-Man's like, yeah, I get it. He's paying you to say all this. And Deadpool's like, "No, I'm and then I guess they're going after, Deadpool and Spider-Man go after, I guess, two superpowered enforcers, souped up versions of Sticks and Stone. Have you ever heard of them?
Sticks and no, I've
They're
not
they're
heard of them.
they're old Spider-Man villains from like the late '80s, early '90s. Like Sticks he was mutated into some kind of scientific accident where like he can bait anything he touches that was organic, he could like decompose it.
Mm, okay.
And Stone was just a guy, was just like a big guy with like just like technology, and he had like two big guns on his shoulders and stuff. But if these are the same guys, they're souped up because Stone, instead of just a guy with guns, is now a guy made of stone, and Sticks looks like basically almost like a walking skeleton with like giant skeletal hands that I guess can still decompose stuff.
Sure, why not?
But Deadpool's just like fighting so many hand jokes right now. And but Spider-Man gets it. Him and Deadpool are starting to mesh because Spider-Man's like, with hands like those, I would have pointed you towards piano or couch crack excavator if I was your guidance counselor. And Deadpool's like, or both, a withered old pianist fishing between the cushions for his nuts. So they're trying to take out Sticks and Stone, but I guess Stone, like I said, he's been souped up now. He has, not only is he made of stone, but he can turn stuff to stone that he touches. So they're fighting them. Deadpool gets stabbed while he sticks his fingers. But they crash through a building, and Spider-Man realizes Deadpool and his team were hired to protect a drug cartel's lab. Because Spider-Man's like, this is a drug lab? Are we protecting a drug lab? And Deadpool says, if I said they're check cleared, would that be a suitable answer?
Oh, Deadpool.
Yeah, but I mean, Peter's all mad because he's like, we're fighting for drug dealers, and but then he almost gets stabbed by Sticks' fingers because he goes, move, arg! And Deadpool goes, you stole my pirate yell. So I guess Deadpool was fighting Stone, Spider-Man was fighting Sticks, and then Peter says, switch partners. And Deadpool says, normally that's the rallying cry for a hell of a party, but I don't think that's where you're heading. Because Peter hits Sticks with Peter hits Sticks with a sodium hydroxide solution, which does a nice job of neutralizing pesky acidic death touches, at least long enough for a double hero KO.
Mm-hmm.
At which point, I don't know, it looks like both villains either meld or disintegrate. I guess they're retreating.
Okay.
But I guess the death touch messed Deadpool up because he's healing, but he looks like crap because Spider-Man's carrying him out of there. But he was I guess Deadpool was telling Spider-Man, he's like, you're on your all high and mighty horse about, quote unquote drug dealers. He's like, but this isn't the United States. This is Bolivia. Some of these people, have to do that to live. He says, if only we knew someone with a butt ton of money and power to do some real work down here. And Spider-Man's like, it would be cool if we knew someone like that. Tony Stark. And Deadpool says, he's broke ass poor.
Well, superhero poor.
Yeah. So Spider-Man's like, can we go home now? And Deadpool's like, yeah, almost. And he's like, almost? He's like, yeah, it's Thursday, done. Spider-Man says, do I really want to know what Thursday means? So Deadpool takes him to a neighborhood and introduces him to his daughter.
Aww.
Yeah. So he introduces Ellie to Spider-Man. And she's like, did he tell you about the swimming medal I won last week? And she goes, Dad. Ellie tells Spider-Man, Daddy loves you. He says that you're bestest friends. And Captain America couldn't clean your web shooters. And he's like, kids, you can just eat them up. Then after they're done, Spider-Man swings away. He's saying, just when you think you know a guy to hate. And then at the end, Deadpool's trying to figure out ways to kill Peter Parker. But then Peter's, he calls your favorite Miss Marconi at 3 a.m. to ask her about diverting funds to Bolivia and, trying to start up some humanitarian stuff there. But then the last panel in the hospital with the still comatose Quentin Beck. There's some kind of sphere. I don't know if it's one of Mysterio's devices, but they see a gloved hand reach out and grab it and say, "Rest easy, traveler. You're not out of the game yet."
Mm.
But next issue, I'm going to tempt you here. Next issue, it's the cover. It almost looks like Spider-Man and Deadpool are on a double date.
Okay.
It looks like I'm assuming it's some sort of seafood restaurant because it looks like a whole pirate motif. And I'm assuming that's Deadpool's wife sitting next to him.
Sickla?
But guess who? Yeah, I'm thinking it might be her, but guess who's sitting next to Spider-Man?
Marconi?
No, the Jane Foster Thor.
Ooh, all right. Okay. Hey, she's dating Sam. Well, she's embracing life. Maybe she's got more than one fella. We give Cap a pass. We got to give Thor a pass.
That's
okay.
All right, but thumbs up. That's my last one of my own. Charlie.
My last one of my own is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement Logistics Division. No longer sitting based on the TV series. Case number 3. Okay, so when last we left our heroes, Mockingbird and Fitz were falling out of a plane. Fitz is screaming because he's about to die. Then we get to see Mockingbird break out the Sam Wilson wings. So she's got wings now. About time someone thought, hey, why don't we give Mockingbird wings? She's a bird. Let's give her wings. So she saves Fitz and get picked up by May. And they got what did they get? They got the date and time. They're waiting on the location. Phil catches up with Lola Daniels, and who's speaking to a General Starkovsky, except it's not Starkovsky, it's a LMD, which he shoots. Lola tells Phil about Kobik. Phil says he knew that Kobik existed, but he was under the impression, as was everyone else, that it was destroyed. So he gathers the team together. He basically says, we're going to go after Rick Jones because he's the Whisperer. Gets mentioned that he's a Hulk. Phil says he's an abomination technically, but he depowered recently. Has picked up a new line of work. Computer hacking. Basically explains the whole Kobik situation in Pleasant Hill. Phil locks Lola up, and they head out. Simmons, May, and Simmons. Quake. I can never tell between Quake and May on this book. Sometimes I think that's Quake. So Quake, Simmons, and Deathlock go to Rick Jones's apartment to look for stuff. Simmons basically says it was trashed by S.H.I.E.L.D. in a very specific way, but these guys didn't know what they were doing. She points out that, they probably look for prints, not residual oils, where prints had been wiped away, and finds a space with a little flash drive that Rick Jones has hid to show where he might be. He's in the Morlock tunnels. They go after him. They find the S.H.I.E.L.D. unit that was chasing him tied up. Rick has U.S. Agent S.H.I.E.L.D., throws it at Deathlock. He has the Ringmaster's hat, which he uses to hypnotize people. Gets shot by Gemma. It's a great scene where he's looking at Gemma and says, sorry, I can't stick around. Did I mention that I'm on a clock? And says there's one or two things. He says, I'm serious, and I bet there's nothing you have in that satchel where he's been pulling these things out of. I'm guessing this is some kind of a PIM satchel, because obviously it's not big enough to hold everything, but he's pulling stuff out. But that's the advantage of being Rick Jones. You know everybody. And he says, there's one or two things, actually, but I don't need them. You don't look like the kind of person who could. And then blam, shoots him. But of course, and a little disappointed, it's a rubber bullet, not a night-night bullet. But basically, they find out the location of the sale of the Axiom protocols are in Barbuda, aka AIM Island, aka Avengers Ideas Mechanics Island, interestingly enough. And there's a little party going on where the Axiom protocols are being sold. And who should walk up to someone at the party? Do you know who's revealed to be in this issue?
No.
I will give you a hint. The young woman with tattoos on her forehead says, "Why, hello there, cutie. I'd heard you were dead." And he says, "Yeah, well, wouldn't have been the first time." Wolverine.
What?
Yeah, young handsome Wolverine too. What the what? Meanwhile, Rick Jones is in a little holding cell on the bus. Quake is interrogating him. Oh, by the way, Mockingbird and May came on shore in Barbuda to break up the auction. And then who should arrive to break Rick out?
Sam?
No, the all new. Oh, sorry, not the all new, just the regular new Avengers. Power Man, White Tiger, Pod, and Songbird. Because remember, the auction's taking place on Barbuda. So are the Avengers under Sunspot turned evil? Are they doing their own thing that everyone's going to say is evil? And is this basically what Hill has been saying? Superheroes are a menace. All right, JJ, why won't you people listen to wise JJ Jameson? Yes, he has a Hitler mustache, but he actually is a good man. He just says, guys in ridiculous outfits beating up each other is not a way to run a country. Thumbs up for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Really enjoying that book. It's really kicking up. I think their first run, I think sort of like the first run of Sam Wilson, Captain America, where they were kind of biding time to get into something. Now they're kind of connecting things, and it's like, okay, now like the first run, it was a good story and a fun examination of the characters. Now Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is really kicking it up well, and I'm liking it. But big thumbs up. Okay. What do you want to do next? I'm guessing you want to do Uncanny, right?
Yeah, because Agents was a standoff tie-in. Right?
Yes, it is standoff. Well, they're going to Pleasant Hill, yeah. And actually, interesting enough, the people who show up at the end of Agents are the same people showing up at the end of this. So, tell us where we are, my friend. You want to give us you want to give us the breakdown?
Okay. It starts off with Quicksilver. I guess he's keeping his distance from his sister these days. Do we know why?
Yeah, because honestly, oh gosh, I almost dropped my phone again. That relationship has always been problematic,
Yeah. Either one's crazy or the other one's crazy.
Really, yeah, those two. They've had their better and worse days.
And then we see.
Speaking of siblings.
Oh yeah. Then next we see Daniel and Jericho Drum, right?
Yeah.
And I guess Daniel wants to come back to life, but his brother won't bring him back to life.
Well, he makes a point. He's like, "You've been dead too long. I can't do that." And he said, "Well, you brought Quicksilver back." He said, "Quicksilver had been dead for like 2 minutes, dude. Really, really."
Like, seriously, you've been dead since before Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Ask Reed Richards to bring you back.
Really, yeah. That's the guy to talk to.
That'd be funny if Brother Voodoo tried to bring his brother back and it was like, oh, I can't do it. Something's holding me back. And it was like Reed Richards or something.
Well, we'll get to that in Super Connectivity because there's a whole thing about the Marvel Universe and where we are now and where we've been and what is different in the Marvel Universe now.
Mm-hmm. But then we get in a helicopter above Manhattan. Rogue is with Cable and Synapse, and Cable's helping Synapse, I guess, discover new new uses for her powers, like she can tell when people are lying or telling the truth because lies smell like strawberries and
The truth smells like seaweed.
seaweed.
What's up with Cable's eye in that, by the way?
His eye? They used to do that. Basically, I guess he's still infected with the techno-organic virus. Basically, I know back in the day, his telekinesis was always on, at least at a low level, because that was the only thing keeping the techno-organic virus from completely overtaking his body was his telekinesis. Because I know they said if he wasn't infected with the techno-organic virus, his telepathy and telekinesis would be much more powerful.
Yeah, well, he's pretty powerful in this, so I'll give him that.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be getting close. He might be able to he might be more powerful than Xavier if he didn't have that in him.
Makes you wonder if that glowy eye thing is a little bit of Phoenix Force trying to break through. There you go. Run with it, Marvel. It's out there now. It's in the ether.
And then we get Deadpool dressed like he's coming from the movie Caddyshack.
Yeah, he's in his golf clothing because he's committing to the joke.
He says Virginia's for lovers, New Jersey is for eggplant parm, and Connecticut is where you go to die. I just love that because Rogue says, I miss when Logan was the brawler on the team. He wasn't afraid of Connecticut, and Deadpool's like, maybe he should have been. He might be less dead right now.
Yes.
But yeah, they're chasing a criminal on the run, and once again, just like last week's last issue, it's the Wrecker.
Yes. Good old Wrecker. And who's with the Wrecker?
You mean his bar?
No. Who else was in the car with the Wrecker? Is there?
Oh yeah, Maria Hill.
Maybe.
Supposedly, maybe.
But yes. And then again, we give the Wrecker back his crowbar.
He doesn't want to go back to Pleasant Hill.
And they get surrounded by the shield bots.
Yep. So yeah, they give the Wrecker's bar back. They take that.
Oh, what's his bar's name?
Barbara.
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
I'm not the deepest thinker.
Clearly not.
So yeah, they basically take out the shield agents, and they take off with this woman who's supposedly Maria Hill. After they dump the Wrecker out of the Deadpool dumps him out of the Wrecker out of the helicopter.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess he kept Barbara because I don't see Barbara falling with him.
Yeah. And basically the team comes together right outside Pleasant Hill, except for Steve Rogers, because he's probably already in there.
Yeah, because I believe that's where we're at in the story.
Then we see another plane coming up, and Deadpool says, hey, it's the all-new, all-cradle robbing Avengers.
Oh, so that's not the new Avengers. That's supposed to be Stark and them, right? Yeah.
I guess in the plane. I don't know why he says that. I guess that's their plane, but then they see another Maria Hill flying the plane who opens fire on them at the end.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. To be continued in all new, all different Avengers 7. Well, that was exciting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I've been liking this series, but I mean, it could basically I'm surprised Deadpool wasn't running this team. It just seems like every issue is Deadpool.
Well, he kind of is. If you really, I mean, like Rogue thinks she's the leader, but you know, the thing about a guy like Deadpool is he winds up running roughshod on people because he's gonna jump into things. And you know, Steve's not. I mean, Steve's. It's like this. Rogue thinks she's the field leader. Cap thinks he's the leader. Deadpool is sort of jumping around and saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And so he winds up, as they chase after him, he is the leader. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, Deadpool kind of like bows down to Steve, but yeah, the rest of them, he's just like, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you want to do next, Thor or Doctor Strange?
I want to do Doctor Strange.
We can do Doctor Strange. Although we'll say Thor is my pick of the week. So
Good, save the best for last.
there we go. Okay, so we open up with Doctor Strange again. He's fighting the Empirical. Basically, all the magic is dying. Stefan reaches out to all the most desperate, sad. Well, actually, first off, he has the the plants at the Sanctum Sanctorum are attacking him. Everything, basically throwing everything he can at the Empirical. We see all the people who are fighting the Empirical in China and New Orleans and Tibet. They're showing all the people that are being attacked, and Mahatma Doom, Dr. Dr. Voodoo, Wong, all falling, Damien Hellstorm, and the Scarlet Witch. Chaos and Magic are being attacked. Talisman and Shaman. The bar with no doors gets attacked, and then out comes who? The one, the only, the greatest sorcerer of them all, Monaco, Prince of Magic. And then he gets punched by one of the Empirical. Although we don't see what happens to him next, but we do see that Doctor Strange reaches out because he is the most powerful, because this is the most magical universe. He is the most magical of the beings in the magical universe. He takes all the despair of every sad, dying, lonely, suicidal person in New York and drops it on the Empirical. Although I do like the one, because it's reminiscent of the recent New Avengers thing where the guy says, "Despair? You throw despair at me? Do you have any idea what I have lived through?" Is your first childhood memory of your parents being torn apart before your eyes so that their flesh could be given in offering to a monster who claimed to be a god, the same god who then destroyed your entire world? Speak not to me of despair, little wizard. I was forged in it. Boom. Cloak of Levitation ties him up. He pulls on the ley line, becomes a big old super magical man. But gets defeated, and we see the Marvel Universe gray and snowy as the Cloak of Levitation is torn apart, and we hear, burn them all. No more Sorcerer Supreme, no more magic. Yeah. Actually, what it says is, and just like that, it's gone. No more auras, no more eyes in the shadows, no more voices in the ether. No more Sorcerer Supreme. No more magic. And then we see Mistress Miraculous, who is a low-level magic user who uses her magic for escapes. And then basically we see all the places that magic is dying throughout the universe. Basically her great escape fails, although we don't see if she lives or dies. Because I'd love to see Mistress Miraculous again in some sort of capacity. So hopefully she lives.
Yes.
Don't give us a cool, awesome character, Marvel, and then kill her in one panel. We see the Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. Fetal, who found a genie's lamp, who used it to rule over a village in South America. Now the villagers not too happy. And a young boy who found an amulet in his grandmother's attic and sort of dealt with this, came to be a great warrior and leader of these insectoid peoples in the grass of the universe of Central Park. Now they're all gone. Magic carpets are falling. Magical talismans are gone. Volcanoes that were once maintained are now erupting. Little Harry Potter never gets to be a real wizard. Hobbs dies. Got a little girl with her magical friends, and now they're just stuffed animals, and she's in a dark and lonely wood.
But yeah, well, I mean, we got those little those little backup stories in the back because they snuck in. This was a $4.99 book.
Yeah, yeah, dang Skippy. I bought it. Man. I bought it. And I liked it though, man. I liked it.
Oh yeah,
Those backstories were fun. I mean, they were nice, but I want to see all these characters again, Marvel, because you know what? It's freaking Doctor Strange. It's an ongoing book with a movie coming out. You did not. It's not like next issue. Doctor Strange, neurosurgeon. And we got Magic on the cover, and we actually get two things. Now it's two books: Doctor Strange: Last Days of Magic #1, and then Doctor Strange #7. So clearly, magic isn't ending. So anyway,
maybe it'll be altered.
Well, no. Well, I've already told you how it ends. It ends because magic is real. And Doctor Strange basically points out you can't say you're part of science. Science isn't the denial of magic. Science is the observation of all things. I am a scientist. I am the Doctor Strange. I am a neurosurgeon. I'm a person who takes things apart and puts them back together. He's going to go into his little room where it's going to be a battered old copy of Grey's Anatomy. That's going to recharge his spirit. He's going to go and take the Imperial Call apart because he's going to say, you are not science, you are superstition. You say magic doesn't exist, but it clearly does. And he's going to recharge the entire universe with magic. Not dissimilar of the last scene of the Seventh Sign when... Seventh sign when Demi Moore gives her soul to her baby, and then that refills the guff because it basically, Deus Ex Machina. Yes, but no, I mean it's good. And I'm enjoying getting there. Don't charge me $4.99 every book though, Marvel. But I will get both of the books. So you're getting your $8. So don't make me pay $5 for one of them. That's all I'm saying. I'll buy your 2 books. I'll give you your $8. Don't you dare make me pay between 9 and 10. Okay. But clearly magic is back, and because it's here. Magic is crazy and having problems, and Hercules, which might be getting canceled, which makes me sad, is fighting new gods, and Scarlet Witch is dealing with magic gone wild, and Doctor Strange is dealing with the death of magic. But we all know that magic ain't leaving the Marvel Universe anytime soon. Okay, but thumbs up for that. And that brings us to our last book, The Mighty Thor versus Odin.
Charlie's pick of the week.
My pick of the week, man. Okay, one quick thing I got to say here. You saw this destruction ad in every book.
What destruction?
The big orange page that says destruction.
Okay, yeah.
Never written yet. When I first saw that, I actually browsed the Infinity Entity, which is some kind of weird Adam Warlock book that takes place like in between the death of the universe and the rebuilding of the universe. And I actually thought when I first saw that, I said, "Oh, is that like meant as a part of the book?" And then of course I see, wait, no, it's in this book too. What? Oh, it's in Howard the Duck, huh? So it's one of these things where it's like in some books it actually makes a lot of sense, and and in other books, because it's such a weird thing. The greatest song ever written.com #joywave. I don't know. Anyway, so Thor and Odin are fighting. Odin's all upset because the hammer doesn't listen to him no more. And basically they're going, between moons of various planets, and meanwhile back in Asgardia, Loki and Freya are gathering forces against evil, which would be Kull and his Thunderer army. In Aphelheim, the Queen of the Light Elves is marrying Malekith the Accursed. After the wedding, she realizes what a mistake it is, as she is dragged to a cell there. Meanwhile, Odin is away and Thor is battling him. They do fight blood and tooth and nail and hammer until only one can survive, no doubt. Meanwhile, back in Asgardia, um, Frigg is telling Loki, we can, we can't. Sif says to Frigga, we can't fight the destroyer. We can if we can find out who in Asgardia is controlling the thing. Loki, can you trace the magic? Says probably yes. You were right about Malekith's mother, about his plans, about the war that's going to spread across the realms. Not now, Loki. First we win Asgard, then we deal with Malekith. Says you were right about everything. Well, almost everything. Then stabs her in the back and says, Loki, what did you just do? I'm sorry, mother, but you never should have sent them to me or sent me to them. Lady Freya, and basically Odin realizes that Freya has fallen and rushes to her side, leaves the battle. Kull is on top of Loki, says he's going to sever his head from him. And he says, Loki says, she's dead then? She says, no, quite. She lingers on the brink. Your blade was poisoned, they say, though the fact that she isn't dead already tells me you're either very bad at the art of poisoning or very good at it. Either way, I expect your new masters will be quite pleased. Tell Malekith he may burn all the elves he likes, but while the Borson brothers yet live, this is Cole speaking, Asgard remains off limits to him and his little cabal of goblins and snowmen. To deliver such a message would require that my head remain atop my shoulders. What kind of god stabs his own mother in the back? You're a cold boy, even for an Odin son. And he says, that's not my name. It never was. Odin takes Freya to the chamber of the Odin sleep. The Congress of World, and basically united by their common enemy. Everyone puts aside their things. Cole sits on the throne of Asgard. Jane Foster remains wandering. As the real war lies elsewhere. And Loki and Laufey are sitting together. And Laufey wants to hear the story of how Freya screamed. And Loki, you can see his heart ain't in it, but he says, yes, Father, he'll tell the story again. There are 10 realms spread along the world tree. 10 very different realms, each with its own wonders and terrors. But just one guardian who soars above them all. Her name is Thor, and like it or not, she's not going anywhere. Meanwhile, back somewhere, looks like a sort of alternate Asgardia, or alternate Asgard. They have come in this ship and have found a hammer, Ultimate Thor's hammer, and who do they have who's been screaming about his mother?
Odin's son.
So it looks like Odin's son's getting another hammer. What happens next? Don't miss Thor number 6. We've got crazy little old school Loki and and Odin's son sans beard. So that's obviously a classic tale of Odie and Loki. Loki and Odin. Thor. Those two guys. Okay, big thumbs up. My pick of the week, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, thumbs up. It was close for me. That was going to be my pick of the week. It was close. So.
Okay.
All right.
Hey.
Is that it?
All I got, my friend.
All right. Why don't you give your social media?
So my social media is, if you'd like to follow along with me on Twitter as I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., although I actually fell asleep during the premiere. like 4 tweets, and then all of a sudden I wake up, it's like, wait, why is the news on? Huh? What happened? But I was there, and then I watched it later. It was a great episode, by the way. And we'll talk about that a little bit on Super Connectivity. And but if you would like to follow along with me with that, when I live tweet the Hulk on MeTV and many other shows that I can watch when my kids are still awake, Follow me on Twitter at CharlieSer. That's CharlieSser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. And if you'd like to just write to me in that old-fashioned email way, like our ma's and pa's did, write to me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog@gmail.com.
All right, and if you want to discuss any of the Marvel comics with us, tell us something we should be reading, you can email us, marvelroundup@gmail.com. On Facebook, we're All New Marvel Roundup. The Twitter is at Marvel_Roundup, and our Instagram that we share with the World's Finest, the DC review, is World's Finest Roundup. And you can talk anything DC or Marvel with me, NightwingPDP@gmail.com. Check out my Twitter at NightwingPDP. I've been doing more and more live tweeting, and you can also find a link to the new stars of YouTube, me and Charlie Esser. Because as of this recording last night, we did a reaction trailer with Rob and Jack from Nuff Said about the second Captain America Civil War trailer, so check that out. Good stuff.
We got our Spider-Man pictures!
And that's not Walter White, that is Charlie Esser. All right. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Well, come back next week. I think both me and Charlie have slightly smaller pull lists. Well, especially Charlie has a much smaller pull list. Because I think there's 3 Wednesdays this month. I mean, 5 Wednesdays this month. That's why it's so.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I have a 1-issue pull list, but I may buy like 10 other issues. So, because you get that one book and say, well, now I can afford this book. Oh, but I wanted to get this book. Oh, and this book. And let's not forget our marvelous review.
That's right, over on World's Finest. But yeah. Come on, people. Email me the odds that Charlie Esser's only going to buy one Marvel book. Come on.
Okay.
All right. Remember, come back next week. You need me and Charlie to talk you through these troubling times, because remember, it's scary out there. Deadpool was the man in charge. Good night.
Good night.